Hey everyone, welcome to the Catholic Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Fisher. Today we have a few special guests. Made this connection on LinkedIn. I'm really excited to chat with them. Video's been something that I've been paying a lot of attention to on social media, especially. So I think you'll enjoy this one. So today it's Dom and Cassidy Mann. They are the founders of DM Productions. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in right now. Hey Dom and Cassidy.
Hi, Mitch. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited.
Good. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. Let's just start with, why don't you just both introduce yourself and what you do?
For sure. I'm Dom Mann. This is my wife, Cassidy, and we both run DM Productions, a Catholic video production company.
Amazing. Very cool. I love the setup. It's like you're so ready for a podcast. It's incredible. It's like, well, thanks again for taking the time. So tell me about DM Productions. What does DM Productions do?
So we're a full service video production company, specifically focusing on the Catholic Church and Catholic organizations. So what we want to do is bridge the gap between secular media and Catholic media, because obviously if you've ever seen anything Catholic and it's digital, you probably have thought this is very underwhelming. It's just done enough to get by, and nothing is actually excellent and shows the beauty of what the Catholic Church actually is. And so we wanted to bring that to Catholic media.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, that's an important mission. Absolutely. How did you guys start this? Like, what's your background? What things kind of sparked this mission?
We both have been in video production even before we started dating. I had done it in high school and then throughout college, and Dom had also done it in high school and college. And so he had started DM Productions basically out of high school, and it turned from like passion into career basically. So that's always nice when you're doing something that you love and then people start giving you money for it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it wasn't always a Catholic video production company. We were serving everybody. And then when we started dating and discerned engagement and marriage, we had a tug on our heart to do more meaningful content. So then we niched down into the Catholic space.
That's really cool. So what was some of like the early days? What did that look like? Like what were some of your clients? What were the projects that you were creating?
I mean, I've worked on a lot of random things. I mean, just like family members or friends or somebody seeing something that I made, and then we're like, hey, we want a video highlight of this vacation or this random family event, or just like really random things like that. When it turned into an actual business, it was there was roofing businesses. There were some Catholic organizations and businesses in there, but it just felt like something was missing, and that we wanted to do content that had more purpose to it. And so there was just this tug in prayer, asking God, where should this business go, and putting it in His hands. And there was just this constant tug of, hey, I gifted you these incredible talents. Why don't you use it for my church? Yeah. And then obviously diving into that is a lot more scary than just like, yep, okay, cool, let's do it. There was a very dry spot from when we committed to doing Catholic content up until probably 3 to 6 months after that. There's like a very desert period, and then more work than we could handle afterwards.
Yeah. So tell me about that transition time when you decided you were going to make this pivot through prayer and realizing you wanted to use your gifts and talents for the church. How did that go as far as like from a business standpoint? Were you able to, obviously there's a dry period, what was it like trying to talk to your prospective Catholic clients now And I'm curious what those conversations were like, especially I feel like sometimes it's hard to video, social media, like these kinds of things that you're doing are good and beautiful. And sometimes it's hard to convince people like that this is a need, what was that like, I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
I don't think it's hard to convince people like the work that we do is good. It's just usually like a pricing thing where they're like, "Oh, we really, really want this, but we just don't have the budget for it." So like those are the issues that we face a lot of the times, especially with Catholic churches and different organizations like that.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a double-edged sword because it was more difficult talking to these Catholic organizations because they're in the traditional media world, whereas like that part was the more difficult, like trying to talk to them about social media and those types of strategies. But it was, on the other hand, it was also way easier to talk to them because now we could have all of the branding with Catholic things, all of our messaging could be Catholic. There was no Saint Michael uh, statue behind in the background there. There was nothing regarding any sort of Catholic stance previously. And so then to be able to have the messaging and to know exactly who we were talking to was huge. But obviously, we dove into a niche that is very traditional in media. And so education was like that next stumbling block to educate them on why they needed these things and why it's important to continue pushing the envelope in media and not just sticking with traditional TV or newspapers or bulletins.
Or billboards. Or billboards.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yes, the world is abundant. There's so many ways to communicate the message, and video is a huge one. So your video content right now, what's your product? Do you do a lot of long form? I know short form video on social is really popular. Like where do you stand on those different formats?
Mm-hmm. We pretty much do no long form, and it kind of depends on what your definition of long form is, but nothing over 20 minutes. Basically, our sweet spot is anything under 10 minutes. So we do a lot of social content. So those are those 30-second to 60-second pieces. And then also a lot of like brand anthem, about us videos, and statement videos, which are the sweet spots around 3 minutes for those.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. What's been the biggest surprise since kind of pivoting, or even since starting this back to high school? Like, what's been the biggest surprise?
So the biggest surprise just throughout the whole company was that I always thought that if you just made a good video, if you would just keep making better content, making it look better, that it would pretty much sell itself. And that's probably the biggest lie in the media industry. Unless you're trying to sell to a cinematographer who actually is like just looking for a good video, like good looking footage, then you have to start selling them based on what results that you're going to get for them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. Who, like for the listeners, who do you tend to work with the most? Or who tends to find the most value from your service?
Mm-hmm. So we don't actually work with that many churches. We find that working with Catholic organizations. So I don't know who would that be. I mean, Catholic schools have really benefited and loved the content that we've made for them. We work with a lot of schools and then Catholic organizations. So that would be anything that's not a church that's considered Catholic, I guess.
Yeah. What's it like working with schools? That's something I've been thinking about lately. Catholic schools have a big story to tell. Catholic education has kind of become more of a point of discussion lately. I do feel like it's really important for schools to be present on social media and be able to tell their stories through video. So what has been some of your experiences working with them and some of the highlights of that?
Mm-hmm. I just think it's really fun. Like they have so many cool events going on and interacting with, like if you're working with high schools, interacting with the high schoolers and they understand. Like you don't have to talk to them and convince them to want to be in the video, they're like pushing kids over to get in the video, and will be smiling and laughing and clapping and doing whatever you need them to do. So it's just fun. As long as you create a cool environment for them to be in, we like to bring speakers, play some music, have the lighting, do everything like that, so that it's not just a cool environment for the end product, for what the video would look like, but the kids are experiencing something cool too.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. What's been your favorite project that you've worked on recently?
Recently, it's a pro-life documentary that is coming out late this year, early next year, about trisomy 13.
Very cool. So one of the things you mentioned that I wanted to learn more about was the Priest Pro. What can you tell me about that?
Mm-hmm. So we are launching it's like a sister company, or just like a different brand. It's called Priest Pro. And so priests are super, super busy doing all of their priest things. And we want them to keep doing those and not focus on being a social media manager or dealing with calendars and managing meetings and all these things. So what we're launching is going to be, our main messaging is helping priests be priests and none of those other things. So it's going to be tools and software and also services that help them be a priest and offload all the other stuff to us so that they can continue their actual vocation.
That's super important. I feel like this is something I've been thinking about lately too. Like a lot of parishes, like obviously parishes differ from super small, under-resourced, understaffed to like large where they have, 10, 15 people on staff. But like, that's one of the trends I'm seeing too, is like priests are being asked to do more with less, and like so many administrative stuff where it's almost like they need like a go-to assistant to just do all of those things for them so they can focus on ministry. Like the whole point of being a priest. That's interesting. How did that come about?
Mm-hmm. You can talk about it.
I don't know. Well, we've been talking to a lot of priests, and there's one in particular that like just sparked this idea for me, where he was doing social media. He'd take his homilies and that were live streamed, and then he'd have somebody edit them into like cool social media edits. And he didn't have time to do it, so he had this other person editing for them, and they saw actual results in their church where historically they would get like 1 to 2 families a month coming in to their church. When they started doing this after about 6 months, they saw that 4 to 5 families a week were joining the church. And for Easter, like they had so many baptisms, so many confirmations, so many like new people coming in, that was like so exponential compared to the year before when they weren't doing any of these things. So if this is happening with one church, and you can see other monasteries and different, what is the word? St. Michael's Abbey. What is they? Mm-hmm. I don't know what they're called. But anyways, like there's other dioceses around the country, like Orange County, they really understand like the power of media, and their diocese is thriving. Like St. Michael's Abbey is like bursting at the seams. They have so many people that they don't have to go out and reach like potential new people coming to the abbey. And so to be able to do that, and so that they don't have to be the ones making that content, because it is a full-time job, and to do it well, instead of just checking off the box, I'm doing social media or I'm doing like outreach or whatever the case may be, you could check the box off, but is it actually helping? Right. So you need somebody that knows what they're doing and that can do it well, so it can actually be worth your time. And that's what we want to do.
That's so cool. I love that. I think that's an important mission. And to that point, so I'm guessing you have a lot of good advice on this. What would be for small Catholic businesses, entrepreneurs, or just Catholic orgs in general, like the ones that you work with, what's your number one piece of advice to them in regards to social media? Like, what are some things that you tend to have conversations with clients with that you feel like is really valuable to them?
Well, if they're not doing anything, I'd say just start doing it.
Yeah.
So don't let prices of camera gear or prices of hiring people to do it for you get in the way. Just start making content and experimenting with it, and
with your phone.
You'll learn. Yeah, with your phone, you'll learn what's working, what's not, and just keep at it. And eventually, you'll probably start doing something. As long as you're looking at the stats, you're looking at audience engagement and all of those things, the feedback. I just say, like, don't let anything get in the way of you creating it. Just because you don't have a budget to dedicate to a monthly subscription or to some sort of full-time employee or part-time employee to do the content for you. Because people want to see it. They want to see it. More and more, they don't want to go to the website anymore. They're just checking on Instagram, and they look for the pinned post. What's the upcoming events? I'll put it in my calendar right now. Making it easier for them to be able to just engage with the brand that doesn't have them jumping through a ton of hoops.
Yes. Yeah. I saw a stat recently, 90 some percent of Gen Zers use social media to make purchasing decisions. And I feel like that's true with Catholic education. Like, I feel like that includes Catholic schools too. And so the fact that you're fitting that need, where, because we make purchasing decisions based off of what we see on social media. If we're going to go to a place, we usually search them up and we see their Facebook or their Instagram, and like, Catholic schools aren't excluded from that. So the fact that you're addressing that through content is huge, I think. What has been so outside of just like the creative side of everything that you do, business wise, like, what has been one of the best decisions that you made that there might be a takeaway for another entrepreneur out there?
Sure.
We can both give our own.
Yeah, for me, it would be quitting my job and going full-time with DM Productions. That was like something that was super scary, and my parents, they were super upset at me when I quit, because it was a good paying job, and they said I'd be stupid to ever leave, and I left. But being able to take the risk and do that was like the biggest blessing that I've done. Yeah, I would say that's mine.
Love that.
No, that's really good. I think for me, it was definitely the niching down and figuring out exactly who we were trying to speak to and who we were trying to serve. Because without that, it was very confusing, not just on the messaging side, but if you're trying to make content, you're trying to figure out your processes and make everything seamless, and you are just talking to a very generic like customer avatar, then everything's going to come out generic, and it feels just super not authentic, and there's no personal touch to it. So when you start talking to a specific niche, then you get to talk to them in their language, in words that they understand. You get to use like jargon and play on words that they use. I just like being able to do those things. So that's a better experience for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for one example for that, on our website, we have like, it's basically like view our work, or like to see our work if you don't believe that it's good. And I was trying to come up with clever wording for it, and I was like, oh, like doubting Thomas, like I could put that on there. And so I had so many comments of like, that is so clever that you put that on.
Is.
Before, it wouldn't make sense, but because it's Catholic, it's just like the people that get it. And they, it's really fun, and I love being able to do that.
Yeah, that's genius. I love that. What's your, like, social media wise, what's your favorite platform right now? And do you have like a trend that you're seeing in that platform content wise that maybe other, like, think of like a one person company on Catholic entrepreneur could benefit from utilizing that platform better?
My favorite platform is Instagram. Like, that's just my platform of choice. They just have everything there that I want. And it's relatively simple to use. Facebook is my least favorite. And I don't know, there's a lot of Catholic accounts that I'm just like a big fan of. I love what they're doing. There's a lot of I don't want to say influencers, but there's a lot of priests on social media now that I follow on a consistent basis, and they're doing some of the trends that are just regular. They're not like to a specific niche, but like they're applying it to the Catholic faith. And I just think that's so funny. That's like my kind of humor. So to be able to see that, like Catholic Jacks, their account, they're on all platforms, I'm pretty sure, but they are just killing it. I love watching all of anything they post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Do you have any other like specific accounts that you can think of?
Father David Michael Moses does a lot of good stuff on there, and he's upped his quantity that he's been posting a lot recently. So that's been good.
That's
he
cool.
also asks about trends that you see.
Oh, trends? Let me think.
They're like the one-man band could do. I think it's just about looking at what other accounts are doing and then seeing how you can make it your own. So like she was talking about in the Catholic space, these priest influencers there's this trend where you like fake trip and then your shoe comes off and then a piece of paper comes out and it says some sort of word on it or like a phrase. And so the priest would trip and then on the paper would say, go to confession or something like that.
Nice. I think I've actually seen that one. Yeah, that's a good one. Don, would you say your favorite platform is Instagram too?
I think Instagram, I like being on TikTok in terms of an actual user, but for content and posting, I feel like most Catholic things are on Instagram.
Yeah. That's interesting because I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's harder to build like a Catholic community or a Catholic feed, like tailor a Catholic feed on TikTok than it is Instagram. I don't know if that's true across the board. I've just found that too. I feel like there's a lot more presence on Instagram, like a lot more established accounts, and like it's easier to like tailor your feed to have that kind of stuff. But I think most platforms pivoting to video has been interesting to see too. And like I'm personally a fan of it. Like I think the video content's the most engaging, like for me. So Instagram kind of pivoting that way has been good, I think. But yeah, let's see here. Anything else that you guys want to talk about or mention about kind of your journey, your business?
I don't know. One of the trends, this is like super random, but one of the other trends that I just absolutely laugh at whenever I see a priest doing specifically is there's like a trending sound of like one of the Kardashians, and it's basically like the priest is saying something about their outfit and it's not cool to copy him, and then they're like, oh, I can't return it. You just have to see it. It's really funny.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Just funny trends like that make the priest or like this Catholic organization or whatever the account is more relatable. I'm a big fan of, and I think a lot of other people are too.
Yeah. So when you go to work with a parish or a school or organization, are you doing like one time, like this is a big project, we're coming in, we're filming for this amount of time, we're editing, and then we're getting you this, or do you have like clients where you're going in on a regular basis, whether that's weekly or monthly, to like film social media type content? How does that look?
Yeah, we do a mixture of both of those. Like the one-off projects are great, but we also have like a subscription model specifically for Catholic schools, and then we're launching the Priest Pro as well. But for the school subscription, we go in and we film a certain number of events per month, and then we make social media content for them, and then we'll post it all for them. So it's completely offloaded so that they don't have to worry about their social media at all. And that's on a consistent basis.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Last piece of advice for Catholic entrepreneurs from your perspective, being married and having a business together, what's been one of the biggest like fruits that has come out of that? And then on top, like follow-up question, biggest piece of advice for maybe others that are in similar situations, whether they're starting something or they've had a business for a while?
Hmm.
There's a lot of challenges that come with it for sure, but I definitely would say that I would never want to go back to a regular job where I'm not working with my husband. It just is so nice to be able to be with him all day. Like every day, I don't have to leave and not see him for 8+ hours, or him doing that. So I really, really love that. Yeah, I just wouldn't trade that for anything, but it does come with challenges. Like being able to set boundaries of like when work is versus like when you're just personal life. And like prioritizing dating is also a big thing too. Instead of just like having your work brain on 24/7, like I'm always thinking about the business stuff, and you have to remind me like, okay, we're shutting that off now, and like we're just focusing on being together. So I would say, I don't know if that's necessarily a piece of advice, but that's just probably a challenge that somebody in a similar situation is going to have to overcome. I haven't figured that out totally yet, to be honest. But little by little, working on the boundaries and different things like that.
For sure.
Taking it step by step, for sure.
That's awesome. Where can people find you and keep up with what you're doing?
DM Productions is www.dm.productions is our website, and all of the social media handles is DM Productions HQ. It's on all platforms. And for Priest Pro, that's going to be www.priestpro.com.
Well, I'll link that in the show notes. Thank you both for taking the time. I think your mission's amazing. I think the work that you're doing is very much needed. So thank you. It's been fun to chat, and definitely want to keep in touch, and wishing you the best of luck on the Priest Pro and just future projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. God bless, guys. See ya.